Well, hello there. Hi. Good evening and welcome to this very, very special service of the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Reverend Jacqueline Brett. I'm the lead minister here.
And I'm Reverend Jim Lewis, Minister for Lifespan Faith Development and Pastoral Care. We both work together with Reverend Daniel, Reverend Stacy, and all the other staff and volunteers here to create services like this and everything else that happens at ERUF.
And so we offer a very special welcome to those of you who are visiting us today, whether from out of town or from across the street or from afar on the live stream. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender identity, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you to join in creating beloved community with us.
We are so glad that you have chosen to spend this evening with us because we are enriched by each person's presence here.
So directly after this service, there will be cookies and cider and a reception in the fellowship hall right across the breezeway, and we hope you'll join us. So whatever has brought you to this place on this evening, we also hope you find here a sign of hope, a feeling of belonging, and a spark of joy and courage that will sustain you far beyond this hour.
And as we begin our worshipful gathering this evening, these words from Reverend Gretchen Haley and Reverend Sean Neal Barron, for whom I extend gratitude for the script we used tonight. Make room in your heart for something new. Prepare for the possibility of magic and miracles.
The presence of angels and camels and cows, sheep and shepherds, suddenly surrounding us and asking us to join them.
To gather in the dark of night, refusing to believe that we have seen it all before, unwilling to let fear keep us from following the star, the bright light of hope, the good news of love that is born again today.
Once more calling us to make the journey into the unknown, believing that together we can awaken the world to joy, to justice, to kindness, to peace once again. Come, let us light our chalice as we begin our Christmas celebration together.
Please rise, embody your spirit, and join me in singing Deck the Hall with Boughs of Holly. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. While the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. Please be seated.
Across centuries and cultures, People have told stories about the children who are born into powerful families, growing up to become themselves powerful and important, and of their courage to create a better world for everyone. We can probably understand this. Even in our world today, we tend to look up to people who are rich or famous or both, influencers and actors, musicians and YouTubers, and even a few politicians. And we imagine that the power for change lives there, away from ordinary people and everyday lives. In ancient times, when the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, came, some people would tell a story like this, as one of a miraculous child being born that would bring us once again into the light, a child whose birth would mark the return of the sun. Early European Christians, having been formed by these traditions, went on to tell the story of Jesus. They started by describing his miraculous birth, and eventually they celebrated this birth at the time of the winter solstice. But their story had a twist. Their miraculous child was not the son of powerful people or the child of a king. Their miraculous child was the son of a carpenter. He was not the son of a wealthy mother, but was instead the son of a woman whose only wealth was her courageous and generous heart. This version of the story has been told and retold many, many times since those early Christians began telling it 2,000 years ago. Each year on this night, we too tell this story. We draw on the ancient scriptures of Luke and Matthew and John, and just like the early Christians and the pagans before them, we have our own adaptations, ways of telling the story that help us discover again the good news at its center. Good news that connects us with the resilient power of love, even on the darkest night, and the promise of abundant life for all people, even in times of great unrest and division.
And of course, by tell the story, we mean that we will recreate the story. As in, we will ask many of you to join us as actors, and we will ask everyone to participate in singing and engaging. For those of you that are first-timers this year, welcome to the full-body experience of Christmas Eve. We do it this way because this story would not have happened if a whole bunch of people hadn't been willing to show up and be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Here's how it's going to work. At various points throughout the story, we are going to ask if some of you would be willing to come up with here and play the parts of some of the characters. Don't worry, you won't have to speak. When we pause and ask for volunteers to play parts in the story, if you want to be in the story, raise your hand and we will call on you to take a part.
Then you will move over there, always walking slowly and carefully, where the amazing Nan Walker will dress you in a simple costume. Reverend Jim will then place you in the growing tableau. Ready? Let's begin.
If you wish, close your eyes for a moment. Transport yourself to another time and another place. Imagine that your heart has been troubled. Imagine that the world is filled with unrest, division, and fear. That peace feels too far away.
And then, imagine that a story is going to unfold before your very eyes. A brand new story you've never heard before. I know that for some of you that may take some extra imagination. But for tonight, let's pretend that it's all new. Because part of the good news of this story is that it was really unusual. So imagine with us now, a world filled with struggle and loneliness, but in that world, you have the chance to meet up with people who are faithful, and loving, kind and generous.
Imagine that you don't just meet up with them, you get to join them.
Join me in singing the first Noel. The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
Scene 1. Mary meets the angel. We are going to start our story from the beginning, before the shepherds or magi, or even before the story. We need to start with the young girl at the heart of our story, which means we need someone who can be Mary. Who would like to be Mary?
Mary is a teenager, living her regular teenage life, unsure of her future, feeling the weight of all that is happening around her. Mary lives in a town called Nazareth. It's a boring town, a small town where nothing exciting ever happens. There are a lot of people out of work, and a lot of struggles and challenges. Inflation is skyrocketing everywhere. Her boyfriend Joseph has a job as a carpenter, so for now they are okay. But will that always be true?
All this is made even worse by the people who are in charge, because they are cruel and selfish, and everyone is feeling unsure about the future.
All of this is swirling over and over in Mary's mind as she is hanging out at home, trying to prepare for her day, tidy up the house a bit, when all of a sudden something amazing / terrifying / unexpected happens. A visitor appears out of nowhere.
We need an angel. This angel's name is Ratika, which means the joy that truth brings, which is fitting since she's come to bring Mary some really big truths.
Truths that had come to Ratika in a vision, where she saw Mary making a difficult choice. But by her choice, there would be more love in the world. And so she had come to tell Mary about her vision and about the choices before her. She wanted her to know that she didn't need to be scared.
But when Mary sees Ratika, Mary totally freaks out. But Ratika reassures her. Please don't be afraid. I'm here with a message about your future. I had a vision, and the good news is you just need to be who you already are, because you are already courageous and strong and amazing.
So Ratika drops the tea on Mary. She's going to have a baby. A special baby that will grow up to change everything. A healer and a leader. Someone who speaks up for those who are hurt and in trouble. Who will feed the hungry and topple the tyrants, and who is the Son of God. This makes Mary really freak out. Because she isn't even married, and she doesn't have a job, and none of this makes any sense at all. She is scared and confused.
But Ratika reminds her, this is your choice to make. And in my vision, the choice you make, whatever it is, will bring more love in the world, a lot more love. You have everything you need, and you are not alone.
So, Mary says, okay, bet.
Which means she is going to have to tell her fiancé.
That's right. I guess we need a Joseph.
Joseph is a carpenter. He lives in Nazareth, though originally he's from far away, a bigger town called Bethlehem. Joseph is just a regular guy. He loves the local sports team, he likes building things, and in a few moments, his mind is basically about to explode.
Scene 2. Joseph meets the second angel, which means we need another angel. When Joseph comes to see Mary after finishing his work for the day, Mary tells him everything.
Which means that Joseph starts freaking out. I mean, put yourself in his shoes. You'd freak out too.
This makes no sense. It's impossible. I have to break up with her, but how? Joseph sends Mary away so he can think. He's turning the whole thing around and around in his mind until he's exhausted. He lies down and takes a nap. And in his dream, Joseph gets his own visitor. After Alvaro tells Joseph not to be afraid, he tells him that actually it's okay to be afraid, but that he should trust Mary. She's telling him the truth, and this is really important. Alvaro also had a vision, just like Ratika. And in his vision, he saw that this child is special, and he's going to make the world better, and they won't need to go it alone. It was Joseph's choice to make, and Alvaro could see in his vision that by his choice there would be more love in the world. Alvaro tells Joseph all of this. And he also tells him that they should name the child Jesus, which means Savior.
With that, Joseph wakes up and returns to Mary. He is still afraid, but he also wants to be a part of bringing more love into this world that needs it so much. And so he's going to keep going and trust that Alvaro is right, and everything will be okay.
Our next hymn is It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill, all goodwill, from heaven the news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophet bards foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of gold, when peace shall overall the earth its ancient splendors fling, and the whole world give back the song which now the angels sing.
Scene 3. King Herod requires a census, and the people journey together. The place where Joseph and Mary live is not a happy place. The ruler is mean and does terrible things just so he can be rich and powerful. The poor are taxed heavily, and people, including children, don't always get to eat enough. Our scene needs an evil king.
Oh, we already got one. About 8 months after the angels shared the big news about the baby with Mary and Joseph, the tyrant King Herod makes a new executive decree.
Herod declares that all the people across the land are required to travel to the town where they were born and put their names in a list and be counted.
For some people, that means a long journey. Joseph and Mary have to travel all the way from Nazareth to Bethlehem, where Joseph was from, which is very far. They don't have any cars or buses or planes. They walk the whole way. They travel by day and sometimes even by night, their path lit only by stars.
Can everyone twinkle their fingers like stars in the sky? It is a hard journey, especially with Mary almost ready to have her baby. But the twinkling stars make it possible for them to find their way, even beautiful at times.
Journeying together, they all feel brave and determined, even when they have to pass by the town of Jerusalem where the evil King Herod is.
And of course, Mary and Joseph are still worried, especially because there are so many travelers. Will there be a place for them to stay when they get to Bethlehem? They don't have phones to call ahead or the internet. They have to just hope and trust that someone somewhere will be willing to make room. Scene 4. An innkeeper makes space. Thank you for the stars. Now that Joseph and Mary are in Bethlehem, you can put your stars down.
When Joseph and Mary arrive, their worst fears are true. There is no room for them anywhere.
And in just a minute, we're going to need an innkeeper.
Mary and Joseph get pretty desperate and decide to ask even those places with no vacancy signs to see if they can possibly squeeze in, which is what brings them to the door of this one inn, deep in the dark of the night.
By this point, Mary is getting so close to giving birth, and they are so cold and worried. So when they go to knock on the door, they just try to remember the angels and their message.
The innkeeper's first response is, "I have no room." But looking at Mary, so close to birth, he knows he can't turn them away.
Which is when the innkeeper remembers the stable. It isn't much or enough, but it's something. It's all they had, which makes it a huge gift of generosity and hospitality.
In a stable, there are probably animals. So we need some animals. Who's willing to be a cow, a donkey, a sheep? Cow. We have a little sheep. Maybe sheeps.
Mary and Joseph are so grateful for the shelter and the kindness of the innkeeper. They gather close together, with the animals gathering near.
And our next carol is Away in a Manger. For his bed, the little Lord Jesus lay down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep in the hay. The cattle are lowing, the poor baby wakes, but little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. The world in sweet wonder the child it beholds, a child in a manger beneath stars of gold.
Scene 5. In the manger, the baby is born. And that very night, the time comes for Mary to give birth. Mary and Joseph are still scared, but also they know they aren't alone. They feel the presence of their angels and the animals and stars.
As the angel had told them, they called their baby Jesus. And they loved him more than they knew was possible.
Before too long, though, they remember their fear. What is going to happen? What is this evil tyrant Herod up to? Would they be okay? Can they make the journey home? When? How? They hold their baby close and look up at the sky, hoping for a sign.
Scene 6. Shepherds meet the third angel. A wave of visitors forms a community. Now this is where the shepherds and their sheep appear in the story. We need some shepherds and sheep. And it's also time for another angel. Any angels out there?
Yay! There are male angels in the world. We have good representation here. Love the representation.
It's gorgeous.
This angel is named Mamie, which means smile of truth, which is fitting because this angel is always smiling. In fact, the angel is so happy all the time, everything he says comes out in rhyming poetry.
Wow. So just outside of Bethlehem, there are fields with sheep and shepherds tending to their many, many sheep. It is a regular evening and they're just hanging out, watching for wolves or thieves, making sure the sheep don't get into any trouble. When all of a sudden, Mamie appears to the shepherds.
Not surprisingly, the shepherds are terrified. But the angel smiles and speaks gently, saying to them, "You know what he says. Don't be afraid." And then he breaks out in his usual rhymes.
I have only good news for you and your sheep. A king is born, so a king will weep. In Bethlehem comes a leader for all, a light for our world. Hurry quick, don't stall. Follow the light that shines in the east, announcing for all you are no longer the least. The humble shall rise, the poor shall lead in his kingdom, but first.
Shockingly, the shepherds are still terrified, but they just cannot resist the sweetness of Mamie's rhymes and the promise of a world of more love and more justice for everyone. So they decide to move past their fear and take their sheep and go to Bethlehem to try to find Mary and Joseph and the new baby.
At the same time, in a land far, far away from Bethlehem, there are 3 wise people, influencers who are always ahead of the trends and able to see into the future. They have seen the star that the angel Mamie has told the shepherds about, and they can tell something is happening, and they need to be there. Where are 3 wise people?
The wise influencers set out on a journey to Bethlehem, and as they go, they realize all that's happening, and they become excited because this is all so new and important and such good news for everyone.
When they first arrive in the country, the wise influencers decide they should first go see King Herod. They are very good at politics like that.
The wise people tell Herod, "We have come to see the child, who can see already will be the king of the Jews. We have come to adore him and bring him gifts."
This doesn't go over well with Herod, because he thinks he is the king of the Jews. Herod asks them to come back and tell him when they find this child. They know right away that that is not a good idea. Herod is definitely not ready to give up power, especially to a child born in a stable.
The wise influencers continue to follow the star until it stops over the stable.
They introduce themselves and join in the circle that is gathered for this new and special life. The influencers give the baby gifts that seem slightly strange for a child, but they mean well.
Everyone who has gathered is filled with joy. They still remember all that was happening around them, how terrible the ruler is, and the challenges of their lives. But they are so grateful to be together. and to be a part of this magic of community and this miracle of love showing up in this ordinary place. They have a sense everything will be okay.
They hope that everything the angels said will come true, that there will be peace on earth and goodwill for all people, that this child will be the start of something big and new and good for everyone. They can never know for sure, but the idea of it fills them with joy and gratitude. They want to tell everyone they know.
Our next carol is Joy to the World. Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth with praises sing. Let every heart prepare a room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness reigns. Let hearts their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. Repeat, repeat the sounding joy.
Well, okay, so there's our story. At this time, we're going to take up our offering, and it's going to be today. This evening's offering will go to the Minister's Discretionary Fund. This fund is used by the ministers to serve special needs in the lives of our people here at ERAF and the people of our community. And if, as the greeters come forward to pass the plates, if you don't have cash or checks with you, you may go to eraf.org on your device and press give, and you may do so that way. And all the members of our wonderful play may return to their seats.
Please join us in singing We Wish You a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding and bring it right here. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring it right here. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It is a pretty amazing scene thinking about this random collection of people and animals in a random place, all of them having made a journey in response to something sudden and spectacular, where they had started off feeling really scared. and where they chose to do something scary because it would mean bringing more love for everyone into the world.
The real miracle of that one night so long ago is the way we live, the way it lives in us today, or the way that it can. If we are willing to keep being the people who show up for ourselves and our deepest truths, the people who call on each other to live in our truths, and the people who show up for one another and for the power of love, even when we are scared or unsure about the future.
When we hear all around us the voices whispering, "Don't be afraid." But we know we are afraid sometimes, terrified, actually. And yet, when we decide to take the journey anyway, to be a part of a new story, then we are a part of this miracle, this magic.
When we make space in our hearts for the unexpected.
When we show up for the baby who is not our own.
When we set our eyes on the bright light of love that calls us into community with both strangers and friends.
Then we are a part of this good news that the world and we still need today. This good news of peace and goodwill and abundant life for all.
So now we're going to do something very special, and we're going to also have to be very careful about it. So if you will take out the candle that you were given when you first walked into this room, and if you don't have a candle, please raise your hand and someone will give you one if you don't have a candle. Okay, it looks like everyone who wants a candle has a candle. Great. And for those of you who are watching on our live stream, we invite you to take out a candle as well. So will the greeters please come forward with your candles? And so this is how this is going to work. The greeters are going to bring the light to the end of your row. And this is how it works, just the way Reverend Stacy is doing right now. So flames always stay up, and the candles without the flame leans in. So flames stay up, and the candle without the flame leans in. And so the greeters just pass the light. So we always dip an unlit candle into the flame, and flames always stay straight up. And after everyone's candle is lit, we'll sing. We have some folks in the chapel who need to have the light passed to them as well. And so now we can turn off the lights. So look at your candle. And let it remind you of your special light, your special gifts, your love. We have the power to share our light and to share our love. So let's lift our candles together and see what happens when we do that. When we join our good actions and our love together, we can do more than any one of us can ever do alone. And so let us sing. The words will appear on the screen.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Run, young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight. Glory stream from heaven afar. Heavenly hosts sing Alleluia. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, child of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace.
And now we carry the good news into the world.
Go in peace, my friends. Amen, ashe, and don't forget to blow out your candle.